Alright, so a bit of a lure though. These are my Soul Blight Gravelords. I started off not a couple years ago, many years ago. My brother got the Malignance starter box. Start collecting box for me for Christmas. And so the very first Soul Blight Gravelord models I painted were the Black Knights, which are no longer in the range, I think. I think they're Barrow Knights now. And so you can tell, man, this jury was bad. We're mobile here. All right, so these guys were my first attempt. I built them with super glue. Their spears I've broken multiple times. I broke that one literally as I was bringing them over to the desk to record this. I based them with coffee grounds and craft paint, and none of the coffee grounds have stayed. And for the color scheme, I wanted to do something autumnal, so like a burnt orange, a green, spooky green. I made their ethereal stuff this pale blue, and I'm not a fan of it. That's changed. And that will be the story of all these minis. They've changed. There's purple on the horse armor, and I just realized he just looks like it's just the Joker, and I did not like that. There's yellow accents. I don't know. Real clown fiesta. See, somehow, for some reason, he got tufts. I don't know. Not shitty. They had their time. They had their place. But God, they're kind of sad. Alright, and so I never painted the spirit hosts that come in that box. I have not painted the Coven Throne, which is hence this, but the Lord. All right. Next up, I bought this guy of a White King. I did the square base because I just thought it was cool and I wanted to be different. And so I was like, man, what did I not like about my Black Knights? And what can I change? So I wanted the green for spookiness, so I did this kind of power sortie inspired thing. There's green on his crown right there. You can't really see it. I gotta figure out this lighting situation. Really went hard on his gold. And then I did a red cape. Because that's kind of iconic Soul Blight Gravelords. And I thought I ate with this cape. I've definitely grown since then. That's not terrible. Alright, so he was next. The next iteration. And then I slowly worked on these guys. So keep iterating. I focused on black cloth, right? And I wanted the skeletons to seem spooky, so I did like a green. I wrote the recipe down. That's why I have the recipe book. Hold on. All right, found it. Recipe book for my underworld skeletons. I used jungle green from War Colors. Base Dark Ivory. No, I didn't do that. Yeah, I did this. This is what I liked because I kept going with it. So base jungle green, highlight with Pro-Kill Dark Ivory from the Ninja set, Wraithbone to white. Yeah, really liked that. Some I did better at keeping the green in the recesses than others. This guy I feel like has a pretty good amount. And then I did this black, which is just a mix of Abyssal Blacks and Night Royal Blue from War Colors. Abyssal Black is from a different range. But I mixed those and highlighted up to like that gray on their fabric. But then I also began to introduce, this burnt orange. And this, don't look at his eyes. Don't look at? This is what I really ended up sticking with. So we'll bring all these guys down and enjoy the blur together as a family would, right? So I'm really liking this burnt orange. And I'm kind of like painting these like one at a time, mixing it up in between. So that's the crew, right? And then here's the main guy. I wanted to give him like a wolfy cloak as compared to the White Kings. My vision was kind of bear cloak. More of that burnt orange. Oh. And then I did this, my very first ever kind of like conversion kit bash. Not really a kit bash. The kit bash is just this Hexwraith skull. Up here we have more of that green flame. Right, and we have the same black recipe in his hood. I made that burnt orange and put more Hexwraith stuff down at his base. My thought is that he's coming out of the mausoleum, so this is like cork that I carved into steps, and then I rolled green stuff over it and carved some sort of cobblestone shapes. Oh my god, your fat thumb. Carve some cobblestone shapes. Don't look at it. Don't look at it. I should have painted those as roots. That would have been smart. Oh well. He's already painted. Yeah, people say they touch up their minis. I don't believe them. Better basing, better pizza, Papa John's. These guys just have their sculpted base, and I painted their bases to match my Stormcast guys. So they don't really have a cohesive basing scheme. And I have big plans for the Coven Throne. I sound sad because that's what this episode is about. How am I making everything mildly cohesive? Can I make them mildly cohesive? Maybe I do need to touch up bases so they all match. God, I don't wanna. Here's all of them all together. I realized I didn't show that. So like, I feel like all of them all together, it doesn't look bad though, right? It's not awful. These guys, they're non-units at this point, I guess. I don't even have, one of them doesn't even have the trumpet because I didn't know anything about the rules and I've never played still, and I just thought the hornblower, that's dumb as fuck. So I don't have one. But like the rest of the guys, I don't know, that burnt orange really ties them in. I like that the White King is different. Maybe I get another squad of skeletons that have that red. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out like how do I get this autumnal theme to a point where like, yes, this is my army and not just a clown fiesta. So for the Coven Throne, I started off with just the 3 vampires. My goals were figuring out the skin tone. I really liked the Necromancer skin tone, but I couldn't fully remember how to replicate it. And I also wanted to kind of like each one to be in a different dress, unifying colors, still using that burnt orange where I can. So the youngest vampire, I gave her green. The more kind of like prudish, formal vampire, I gave her just like all that burnt orange, like this, like she's dedicated to the organization that they're all a part of, I guess. Whatever their sort of like court is. And so she has the most burnt orange. And then the oldest vampiress, I just wanted, to stand out. I wanted to bring in that red. And honestly, very, very, very happy with how she turned out. And she has the most different skin tone. But I think that's okay. I don't know if I want to go back. I'll have to kind of like see how it looks once everything else is painted up. But here's that older one. You can see I tried something new where like I did an underpaint. Her and the middle one and the youngest vampire, they look like the closest to each other, but overall super happy with how they turned out. And like the whole time I was really worried about like, are they going to look good together? Are they going to look cohesive? Especially with that first one. I was so nervous to paint, but like I had to keep reminding myself that just do it and go from there. Like just paint the model. And so really I feel like the only thing that's like glaringly different is the but the difference of skin tones. But all in all, like I never felt like it was super jarring. On that middle one, I tried to do like graying blonde hair. In person, I think it looks a lot better. But so I have the 3 vampires. I gotta paint the throne still. I gotta paint the ghosts. I'm still trying to do it more or less in sub-assemblies, and I gotta figure out that base. I have an idea for it, like it's kind of climbing over some fences that is bursting out of a gravesite. But that's it. I'm not in my usual place right now. I'm actually in Texas for a job. Next video will address that a little bit of like what I like to do when I'm traveling and on a hobby and stuff. but I still wanted to get this video out in a reasonable amount of time. So if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, share, subscribe. If you're finding it, there's also now this hype button. I don't know what it does, but hype it up if you like this. I'd love to start getting more than 3 to 5 viewers. And let me know, do you usually plan out a paint scheme ahead of time? This is the only quote-unquote army I've ever painted so far, and I've never had like a list or a plan in that regards, so maybe it's different if I did that. I have some ideas, like I've been reading the Wheel of Time, and so like I've been really interested by like Beasts of Chaos because of the Trollocs in Wheel of Time, and I thought it'd be cool to maybe do a spearhead proxy 1-to-1 of Slaves to Darkness has some sort of raider faction or something, and just use beastmen as stand-ins for that. So like that's kind of like another army that's in my brain, and I really want to get into Spearhead. I like the idea of like quicker war game kind of thing, but I also, yeah, I got ideas, I got thoughts, but I've never needed to like have a cohesive paint scheme before. So this is my first kind of like foray into it and try to figure it out and figure out what I like, what I don't like, and also not putting pressure on myself. Obviously, I'm not going balls to the wall and drastically changing anything, but it is different. Let me know your thoughts. All right, until the next one. See ya.